Alright, so as you guys are probably well aware by now, the normal Rarity Festival is well underway. So today I decided to give you guys the deck that I've had by far the most fun playing in the event. A deck whose entire purpose is to take a bunch of low level water monsters and essentially turn them into a bunch of indestructible Giga Chads that are all immune to monster effects. But before I go through the deck list, just a reminder if you're enjoying this kind of content and want to see more of it, to please leave a like on the video and consider subscribing to the channel whilst you're down there. Especially if you're a frequent visitor of the channel and still haven't subscribed yet, as I know there are a bunch of you. Please do consider subscribing, as that way I know you guys are enjoying the content, and therefore I'll just make more of it. Alright, let's get into the deck list. So this deck list is based around 3 separate parts. You have the Aquaactress stuff, which is the main core of the deck, then you have the Paleo stuff, and you have a small little Appliancer package in there as well. So the Aquaactress stuff is extremely simple. You have a bunch of monsters with very basic effects. You have Tetra, which allows you to search one of your Aquarium continuous spells. You have Guppy, which lets you summon and a special summon an Aquaactress from hand. And you have Arowana, which allows you to add an Aquaactress monster straight from deck to hand. The continuous spells are extremely simple too. You have Stage, which makes your water monsters immune to destruction from any non-water monster, and it makes your Aquaactress cards immune to monster effects. You have Set, which gives you a small little attack buff to your Aquaactress stuff, and a small little attack buff to all your water monsters. Then we have probably the second most important of the continuous spells, Lighting. This card, whenever your Aquaactress monsters battles an opponent's monster, it will double the stats of your Aquaactress monster, making them pretty damn big. Then we have the second half of the deck, which is the Paleo side. You've probably all seen this kind of stuff before. These effects are very basic. There's a bunch of trap cards that all have a bunch of effects like flipping stuff face down, banishing stuff, or destroying back row. And when they're in the graveyard, if a trap card is activated, they special summon themselves back to the board as monsters that are immune to all monster effects and are water monsters that are level 2, meaning they are also given the effects of Stage to make them immune to anything that isn't a water monster. They get the small attack buff from Set, and they also, when combined with Wetlands, get a 1200 attack buff as well, making them a bunch of monsters that are like 2400 attack plus, that are all immune to monster effects. The last part of the deck is the Appliancer side. Now the Appliancer side is a very small package. Basically you have this little dude that you just summon onto the board. His effect doesn't matter that much. When he's in the graveyard you can banish him to protect your Link monster, which is basically all you're going to summon with him anyway. You're going to summon this guy, link him out into your Link 1, Laundry Dragon. Laundry Dragon? I actually never read the name of this card, that's okay. Anyway, you summon this guy out. This guy basically whenever he battles one of your opponent's monsters, he will then destroy it. Now normally that would mean he would also be destroyed himself, but because you have your Aquarium Stage on the board, he is also immune to that battle effect as well, so he will not be destroyed during battle. So this card basically wins any fight he gets into. Very powerful card in this deck, as you'll see in the gameplay. Speaking of the gameplay, let's get into it. Alright, so today I have 3 replays to show you guys. All 3 of them are... Generally I tried to pick the spicier ones, but there were a lot of games I played with this deck. I think my overall win rate was pretty damn good. I didn't keep track of it, but just trust me, it was a pretty good win rate. I don't think this deck is going to be one of the top tier decks in the event, but like I said, it's the deck I had by far the most fun with, so I thought I'd share it with you guys. Alright, starting off with a pretty basic hand. Unfortunately there's none of my continuous spells and no way to grab them, but it's not that bad of a hand. So we summon our Guppy, special summon our Arowana from hand, which then lets us search for Tetra. And we set our Paleo stuff as well. We're playing against a cringy Time Lord deck, so we're just going to banish this monster because it's really annoying. End phase, destroy his back row and bring back our Paleo monster. Unfortunately we destroy something that lets him draw 2 cards, but at least he has basically nothing left on board. I summon my Tetra, I search first, adding for a Guppy. That way I can special summon the Guppy with the other Guppy, and then special summon the Tetra, because keep in mind these cards are probably really ancient because they're not hard once per turn effects. Searching for Stage, as it's generally the most important of your spells to have. Exceed summon into number 45, this is to make space for my normal summon of my other Tetra, to search for Set. Probably should have searched for the other continuous spell, as I kind of assumed I had lethal here, I didn't do the maths, but Yeah. We just beat our opponent up a little bit. And he summons this thing. Bit annoying, but he doesn't really do a whole lot because he's just a burn deck, so... Fortunately destroys my spell, that doesn't matter because we have 2 lots of searches on the board already. And summons a kaiju. Now normally this card would be kind of annoying because it's kind of just immune to being destroyed by stuff. But we run a certain card on the extra deck and this man has placed it in a very specific zone. And you guys need to look out for this in this event, as this will be a very common play you'll see, as it's one of the best link monsters in the event. So first of all, I'm going to use my monster effects to search again. They're not on normal summon, they just can be used whenever. Well, whenever during your turn. Link summon out, Transverse. Transverse swaps 2 monsters on the board if they're specifically in a zone this card points to, so cards in the center and cards in this zone here. So we yoink his Time Lord, and then we just beat him to death. So I don't know what back row this guy was using, but apparently it was kind of useless. I assume it was a bunch of burn cards or something. Alright, so that was more of a warm-up replay, okay? That wasn't the spicy replay. I was just to give you guys a little taste of what this deck can do. Let's get into the more spicier replays now. Alright. This opening hand was a little bit on the rough side, as we only had 1 monster and no searches for monsters. And we just had a bunch of like aquarium spells, which is nice and all, but we have like a searcher for the aquarium spells already, so it's kind of I don't know, it's not the greatest. Unfortunately, we're playing against a deck that's completely immune to all targeting effects, so our Paleos are just almost completely rubbish. As you can see, my opponent's a bit of a dum-dum. Swings in when we have the double attack on board and just kills off his own monster. Not really sure what that's about. And then passes the turn. We're still bricking very hard. We've now drawn nearly all of our stage cards, which is a bit interesting. Or all of our aquarium cards, sorry. I'm really just hoping our opponent bricks a bit, or we're going to be in a bit of trouble. Fortunately, he draws our Fox, which gives him another search for a card that... Because the main issue with this deck is that it's completely susceptible to back row. It's really powerful against monster effects, it's basically immune to them, but if your opponent has any kind of back row, you have no protection against that. Opponent swings to our monster, does a bit of damage, but thankfully our monsters are still immune to monster effects, so we don't care too much. End phase, we use the trap card to banish his monster over, or his thing over here. I basically do that because I now know my opponent has a trap card there, so if he activates that trap card to destroy my monster using his monster, at least I'll get a Paleo back from grave. He uses his Evacuation to return my card to hand. Like I said, I now have Dinomischus in the grave, so I can special summon that back. And it's completely immune to being destroyed by battle, so we're going to swing straight into this card. Unfortunately, he halves the attack, but that's still fine. Because we still have a monster that's still immune. In hindsight, I think I probably should have played the second stage, as if my opponent doesn't remove any back row, I'm basically locked into having a Canadia on board that can't really... Yeah, if my opponent doesn't summon anything from his extra deck, wouldn't have been able to target anything. But anyway, my opponent does summon something from the extra deck, he summons a Magician of Hope. We're just going to flip that face down. I don't think I even like properly read this card, it just said something about special summoning something, and I was like, yeah, nah, we're just going to turn that face down for now. Unfortunately, we didn't actually draw an out to it, so we're just going to put on monsters in defense and pass the turn, because they're still both immune to battle, so my opponent can't actually do anything here until he finds a way to out the stages. We draw ourselves a Wetlands, which is a very good draw, as it makes this guy's attack now 4,000 when it swings in with the lighting on board. Opponent can do a bunch of stuff, he's gonna summon out an Odd Ice, which is a pretty cool looking card, but unfortunately my monsters, like I said, are immune to monster effects, so it has some kind of destruction effect or return to hand or something. I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. My monsters are immune to it anyway. He tries to bounce my Tetra, we have Paleo engrave. Bring back the Paleo. And this Paleo's got a lot of attack. He's a 2700 attack Paleo. And he concedes instantly. Alright, final gameplay. And this one was definitely the spiciest of them all. This was against a gadget deck. But hopefully this is a good showing of like how strong this kind of deck is, considering this deck and the one before it were both very top tier decks in the event, so showing these guys can keep up with them is definitely a good showing of this deck. Alright, just going to show off the Appliancer side of the deck. So we summon out our boy, who's basically now immune to all destruction effects in battle. Oh, sorry, not destruction effects. Immune to being destroyed by battle from anything that isn't a water monster. And if he battles any water monster, or not, if he battles any monster, sorry, he'll destroy and deal damage to your opponent. So he basically wins every fight he gets into. That's the gist of it. I definitely explained that horribly, but that's alright. Unfortunately, he removes my Paleo. And then summons a bunch of gadget stuff. And then goes straight to the end phase. Now, I'm not really sure why he went to the end phase here, because as you will see in a bit, he actually has a card that can just out this if he wants to, but for some reason he just didn't summon it here. I don't know why. Either way, we're just going to swing in. As you can see, my monster's immune to being destroyed by battle, so we can just pop his monster, do a bit of damage. In hindsight, probably should have destroyed the other one so we didn't get a special summon, but that's okay because he missed timing when he summoned Gold Gadget anyway. Draws another MST, lucky bastard. Sending our Lost Wind to the grave, bringing back a Paleo monster. It's not too bad though, because at least having Lost Wind in the grave means it will be able to resummon itself anyway, so. Or reset itself. He summons a shit ton of magnet monsters. And then goes straight to the end phase. Again, summoning nothing. I'm going to tribute summon my Arowana. It's a torrential tribute apparently. But as you can see, because we had our little Appliancer and Grave, whenever my Appliancer is about to be destroyed by a card effect, you can just banish that card instead. So we've still got our really powerful kind of lock on the board right now. He summons out a bunch of gadget stuff. Just gonna swing into it, still continue to do burn damage to him. And finally, he decides to actually summon his out. He summons out his Black Ship of the Corn, which is a very annoying card. And then comes the bricks. So we just did not draw anything for a while. And he also drew another MST, lucky little shit. We're going to let him keep swinging to us. We could have activated our Dinomischus, but there wasn't really a whole lot of point here. And we're not taking a whole lot of battle damage anyway, so we're just going to wait a little bit. Still going to continue to wait, because he's not applying that much pressure still. Until we draw ourselves a Guppy. Now, we want to activate the Paleo card now, as now there's a high chance he'll activate a trap card, and we want to have the Paleo in the graveyard. I'm kind of scared of another Torrential Tribute, so I don't try to special summon Arowana from hand. So I'm pretty certain there's a Torrential here still. I have a really strong feeling there's one. He returns my guy to hand. We had the Paleo engraved, so we can now summon that back out. Indestructible 2400 attack monster, immune to monster effects, beating down on our opponent. He then summons out the weirdest level, or rank 8. Summons out the Googly Eyes. I'm sure there's gotta be a better monster you could have summoned here. There's like Dragoon, whatever they're called, those big dragon monsters. They were probably a better summon than this, but anyway. And you can't tell me he doesn't have them, as this is a normal rarity festival that everyone owns the cards. I summon a monster, special summon another one, and like I thought, there was a Torrential. Probably should have played around it there, but whatever. Set my Canadia. We're in a pretty bad spot, by the way, because we have no monsters in hand, and we have no Paleo's in grave, so we're relying purely on top decks right now. Thankfully draw a usable trap card so we can bring back the Paleo, which will stop us from dying. And also thankfully he's actually out of magnets in deck, so returning this to hand doesn't matter. And here comes the top deck off. He draws a... if he didn't set this card last turn, he actually would have had lethal there. He could discard his other card, summon his monster, and he would have had lethal. Very on the rope stuff. I draw nothing, he draws nothing. I draw a trap card, he draws a Dust Tornado. Still completely on the ropes here. Praying to God we top deck. Thankfully, when he hit the monster, we hit a Paleo that we can use to remove it, and summon the other Paleo back from the grave. And from here, it's over. Even get a small little bit of attack damage as well, just to add, you know, a bit of poison to the wound. Alright, that'll do it for today's gameplays. I hope you guys enjoyed them. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys for watching. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob?
Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis.
Oh.